Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so in the midst of my busy day yesterday, the Lakers had a press day. I think that's what they call it, the press day. But I didn't get a chance to watch as much of it as I wanted to. What I did was actually listen to more commentary of people who did that kind of thing, rather than me actually seeing what guys had to say. So I'm kind of coming in blind, to be honest with you. Can't really respond or react to much. But certain excerpts I saw were very cool. Like, of course, Bronny sitting down with Allie Clifton and those folks and James Worthy, and just really soaking up the moment. First time they've been able to be professionals next to one another on camera, and just seeing Bron's whole energy just light up when his boy sat next to him, and how they look like brothers, man. They black don't crack, it don't. Because Bronny and Bron look like they brothers more so than father and son to me. But it was good to see that whole experience, and it's a big deal for everybody, really. And as somebody who shares a birth year with Bron, it's especially cool to see somebody from my generation have that experience. Bronny would be my son's age if I had kids, that kind of thing. So it's like really awesome to see for me personally. But yeah, man, I enjoy it. I hope that now we can get that out the way and get the jitters out the way or whatever will come with that and get to work. There's a lot of work to be had. I know Bron mentioned something about his son in regards to him potentially playing in the G League. Regardless of what, both teams are a reflection of each other. As long as they're preaching the same stuff, it should align, and we're all in the same common goal of making this Laker thing as good as it can be. So I like the idea of that, because I think Bron should be open to Bronny playing in the G League, and of course Bronny being his own man should most definitely see the fruit in being in the G League for a little bit and getting his feet wet that way, as much as necessary, whatever that looks like. I didn't get a chance to really look at Austin Reaves, and people were saying that he bulked up. I actually didn't look. I was listening to excerpts from his sit down with James Worthy, and then so I don't think I even glanced at the screen while it was on. I think I was doing art or something, but I listened to him, and what stood out for me is just the understanding that guys are looking forward to how things are going to be structured this year as a team. And some people perceive that as us, our guys taking shots at Darvin Ham. I don't know, maybe that holds credence. But at this point, it's just about making sure that they are on the same page with Coach Redick, and making sure that Redick feels like he's being welcoming with open arms and a lot of confidence. So if that looks like they're taking shots at Darvin Ham, then that's just what it's going to be, in my opinion. But I don't think people really thinking too much about Darvin Ham, more so thinking about what we got going on in our locker room. And so that's what I hope it is. I hope people aren't having revisionist history and all that. We could be happy that we have new changes in place, and we certainly did not want Darvin back. I don't think anybody really wanted him back. But to say we're still taking shots at him like there's bad blood, I think that's a wrong display of focus if that's what we're doing. I don't think that is important. I don't think that holds much weight at all. Throwing shots at a guy who's not in the locker room anymore. So yeah, man, that's a minute point for me. But what is important is just the type of style that we're going to run offensively. And listening to DTLF, he was saying that he didn't hear a whole lot about defense. That's important to me, very important to me, given the fact that we have some defensive players that only play that side of the ball. We got Vanderbilt, we got AD, although he plays, of course, offense as well, but he's a defensive specialist. You got Gabe Vincent, who's going to make his money on that side. Cam Reddish usually makes his money on that side. We got to have defense as a part of our thinking. Balance is key when trying to drive your team to where its highest point can be. I really believe that if we're talking about only offense and we end up being a turnstile team that allows defense to just, not be considered very much, I guarantee you we're not going to go very far. With the roster that we have, we had better have some defensive principles in place. I'm just telling y'all right now, we're not. I'm going to say this, and I mean it. We're not talented enough to do that. We may have good offensive players, but if you only focus on one side of the ball with this unit, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. I'm just telling y'all right now. So I don't know that JJ ain't thinking defense. I don't know if JJ to really talk too much about defense. I don't think a lot of offensive minds believe in defense like you would think they would. In a lot of cases, I think a lot of people believe that offense is the only thing that really needs to be focused on, that you can't stop great offense any damn way, so what's the point of focusing so much on defense? I think if you have the right personnel, your chances of winning with that mentality increases. But if your team has holes in it, that cannot be your mentality. And so we have holes in our roster. I think most Laker fans would agree with that. We got to focus on the defensive end as much as we focus on the offensive end to get principles in place, help situations in place, and do the best thing we can do for ourselves in regards to covering up those natural roster holes. So, yeah, I'm not certain, because like I said, I'm taking this from a third party who said wasn't enough defense being talked about. But I do want to hear about defense. I do want to see defensive stops out there. I do. And that's something I want to say, just to reiterate a point. Guys like Cam Reddish, that's where he's going to have to make his money, man. People are down on Cam Reddish because he looked bad offensively. Nobody ever said he looked bad defensively. He's going to have to make his money on that side of the floor when he gets his minutes. You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to. If you're talented on one side of the ball and not the other, you better damn sure make sure that you are shining on the side that you're expected to be talented in. And some of these guys, they're in theory, they're in an offensive system as defensive players. That's already has them lined up against the 8 ball in a way. You want to find the best possible outcome for all of these guys in regards to putting themselves in the strongest position to get stops and score buckets, control the boards, and every other aspect of the game that needs to be in mind. So I don't want to see a hyper focus on the offensive end and a deliberate, just letting go of the defensive side. I don't want to see that. I don't think it works for this unit. I don't think it works for most units, to be honest with you. I heard some things about Vanderbilt's body language. And I did get a chance to see a very small excerpt of him talking to a reporter. I didn't see him sit down, but I did see just a small piece of him getting a chance to speak with one of the guys who were holding the microphone to him. And, he's been through a lot, to be honest with you. So I think that's the first thing I want to say. I think Vanderbilt is, with his injury issues and his foot thing, has probably put him through a lot over the last year. You work hard on your rehab. The team pushes you back out there. You look your best. You're having the best game you've had against one of the best teams to get the future NBA champions of that year, the Celtics. And then you go down at halftime. It's just like it's a hell of a roller coaster to be on mentally. When you're trying to fight back from an injury, you finally get to a point where you're looking your best, doing all the things that you know to do, and then go down in the game where you're shining the best, shining the brightest. That's hard. That's very hard. So if he's not exactly his chipper self, I don't think he's had a whole lot to celebrate about in regards to basketball. And so for me, I think at the end of the day, give Vanderbilt a pass because he's had a lot come up against him on the court. I don't know what's going on in his personal life. I would never assume. But these guys' livelihood is basketball, and if things ain't working out on the basketball court, it can mess with the body language a lot. And, I was listening to DTLF. He said that his theory was that maybe he wants to start. I just don't think, I've never seen a team name a starter who's injured, who's not expected to start the season. You know what I mean? That's not real. That's never going to happen. Where if your guy is injured, but he's expected to be a starter when he's healthy, to be named a starter while injured. That's not, no one's ever going to do that. I've never seen that. So he should not expect to start because he's injured. And when he gets back from his injury, then we can consider where he falls in the pecking order. But if he's unhappy about not starting, like, bro, you're not even playing. How can you start? So I don't actually think that's a thing. I personally don't. I think Vanderbilt's just dealing with a lot and probably has been dealing with his offseason in a way that maybe didn't allow for him to maybe have the best way of going about it. That's what I think. Sometimes, man, and maybe I'm out of line for saying this, but sometimes I just think guys, when they're going through a hard time, they got a lot of money, sometimes they just turn to their vices, man, during the offseason. You know, stuff sucks. You ain't played. You got all this money. So you pick up the bottle or so, whatever your culture would be. And that's what I got from Vanderbilt, to be honest with you. And I'd love to be wrong. Athletes tend to take care of themselves. A lot of these guys take their body really seriously and dare I say this, right? But I'm from the era where, you know, when I first started watching basketball, every third guy was known to be able to, you know, known to dabble, you know what I mean, without getting into too much. So when I see guys and I think that they might be a little spirited or what have you, especially when they're going through what I would think would be a hard time, I ain't going to be all that surprised at all. And so, not to put nothing on Vanderbilt's name, but that's what came to mind when looking at him. He might have been engaging in some culture, some off-the-court culture that maybe he probably ain't going to be best for getting into when it's time to rev it up and get on the court. So some of these guys are still in their off-season, man, at the end of the day. And so, you ain't gonna. Some of them you see their best on media day, but a lot of guys who are coming back from injury, they ain't got no reason to be their best because they're recovering. You know, ain't like they're running in the gym and doing all types of stuff. So maybe they're not eating right, maybe they're staying up late, that kind of thing, you know, or whatever that comes with that. So when I saw Vanderbilt, it wasn't much body language that bothered me. It was more so the notion that maybe some of that might be going on with him. And you know, he is responsible for so much of our energy when he's on the floor. He's responsible for being in such great shape when he's on the floor based on the style of play and his responsibilities. So if he wants to get the most out of his career, he's got to always think about being in the healthiest possible way for himself physically, especially since the injuries are starting to pile up. You don't want to compound problems, you know what I mean? So that's what I would tell anybody, but especially players that have his style, where they always jumping around, diving, Dennis Rodman style. You got to really take care of yourself better than most, because you're not parking it and just shooting and then trotting back down floor. You're all over the place, guarding smaller people, leaping, banging up against bigger people. It's a lot that comes with the Vanderbilt experience, and he has to be in his best shape in order to be his best self, period. So, you know, some of that stuff just ain't gonna fly for him. But yeah, man, that's one thing. And then of course we're excited about our guards being healthy. Gabe Vincent, 100%. Jalen Hood-Schifino, 100%. So that's extremely encouraging. Hopefully they can get on the track they want to be on and contribute a great deal to what we got going on. I don't want to say I'm counting on both of them, because I don't think they've given me enough to be that kind of confident. But boy, would I like to be able to say that. You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to, because we did invest quite a bit as a franchise in both of those players. Quite a bit. So that's what it really comes down to. We need both of them to be on their best self. And Gabe Vincent can probably relate to Jalen Hood-Schifino in some ways. Maybe other players won't be able to play in the position that he does. I'd like to see him help Jalen. I'd love to see him be a mentor for Jalen. So hopefully that's already in place. What else going on? Dalton Knecht said he put on some weight from what I understand. That's a good thing. Continue to work on himself. He's already an athletic player. I think, you know, it's hard to say what he really needs to work on outside of the defensive end, because we ain't seen him in the Laker uniform. But I know his defense leaves a lot to be desired naturally. He can get stops and stuff like that. He did get a few stops, noteworthy stops in the summer league. So he's a high-level basketball player who's going to get he's going to get his licks in. But ultimately, defensively, you don't expect for him to be very good at all. So that's where I want to see him be intent on getting better, period. But I think already he comes in as one of our most important scorers. And by way of his talent, I don't think he's going to spend much time on the bench in the future. He may start off as a rookie on the bench, but not too many more years in the head do I expect for him to stay on that bench. I just don't. I don't think so. He's going to push past somebody. D'Angelo Russell, much has been said about him apologizing for not coming off as focused and team-oriented, I believe is what he said. You know, he was a little more selfish than he'd like to pride himself in being. You know, I didn't listen to a whole lot from D'Lo, but I'm ready to give him a chance. You know, that's how I feel, man. I don't think we have nothing to lose. He is one of our most talented, naturally talented players. He's one of the most naturally talented players who is not considered a star out there. He's given a gift shooting the ball and pushing the ball through tight windows and stuff like that most people don't have. They're not born with that. So when you talk about what it is I expect for him, if his conditioning is where it needs to be, I expect for him to be one of the most important players on the floor for the Lakers. And just like everybody was on his side when it was time for him to be traded last year, when he was playing up his style in such a way that had people so excited about him, I think the same goes for the enthusiasm that should be available to him now. We saw what he looked like when he's at his best. He's one of the most exciting players we got. He can run together 5 or 6 threes in a row when his conditioning is right. And he ain't had no real injuries. He ended the season healthy, which has been something that he's been struggling with the previous seasons before that. So for me, I have every reason to be as optimistic about D'Lo coming into a contract year with no player option anymore after exhausting it this year. He's playing for something, and he's very talented, and he wants to stick around on this team. So I imagine he's going to probably do his best to be his best more often than not. And a lot of times, just when you think that a guy ain't about to do nothing, you look up and they have a career year. I don't see why, with the usage that he could be potentially bringing about, with the minutes that you likely expect him to get, I don't see why, if he doesn't have a healthy season, it isn't one of his best. Because the expectations are as low as they've ever been. And he's not over the hump. He hasn't reached Father Time in a way that would otherwise take away from him. And he's been on this team now for 2 years, so he knows this unit a bit better than he has in previous seasons. And I don't find myself low on the idea of what D'Lo can be as an individual as a lot of people are. Maybe I don't like him next to Austin Reeves, but I haven't lost sight of what he was near the trade deadline last year. I ain't lost sight of that. I know what the hell he can do when he's playing his best ball. And when he's playing his best ball, he's one of the best players we got. So I'm ready to give him a chance. You know, a lot of people have been so hot and cold on him that for me, it just makes me a little more on his side to see him succeed. That's really where I'm at. I think people are overstating the expectations or over being negative about him a little too much, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think they are. I think at this point, he's underrated. People have forgot the good D'Lo and how much they appreciated the good D'Lo and how much he helped us during the regular season in certain games. And is he going to disappear? Yeah. And when you're experiencing low D'Lo, it ain't no fun. And he knows that. But when you're experiencing high D'Lo, you got basically an all-star. So it's up to him to try to get that consistency going. And if he does it the right way, he'll make some money. If he doesn't, he won't. And it really does come down to him having to play well in order to shut off all the noise. So I'm ready to give him an opportunity. I get it. He's a different type of personality. You know what I mean? Probably a little, not everybody's cup of tea. You know what I mean? I think that. But at the same time, it's like when a guy's when he's trying to hold himself accountable, that's really all you can ask of a man. You know, nobody's perfect. Everybody's their own man. But at the end of the day, you know, this is somebody who's trying to take accountability. This is somebody who knows what he can do. This is somebody who's done good things in our uniform in 2 different stints. So for me to say that I'm just high on D'Lo and would never trade him is not telling the truth. But since we got him, it's not like I'm going to sit up here and think he's some whack role player that can't give me what I've already seen him do. So I'm higher on D'Lo than the average. I'm looking forward to what he can do this upcoming season. I got him on a couple fantasy teams. I'm not looking to waive him or nothing. I think he's a very good player who's going to remind some people of the high D'Lo. And when he does, they're going to be on him again. And I'm going to be looking at him the same way I'm looking at him right now. Because that's the balance you need to have with a player who's proven himself to be inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it is. You never get too high, never get too low on D'Lo. And if you keep yourself balanced in regards to him, then you'll be ready for the ups and the downs. And those ups are really up. And those downs can be pretty down. So that's it, man. I'm looking forward to D'Lo this year. You know, AD had a lot of energy. AD looked like he had been really energetic, intentional on showing his energy and off the court in regards to the interviews and stuff like that. He seemed like he had a bit more going on. Like, you know, he's upbeat. He's ready to get going. This is a big year for AD, man. He's been healthy for a couple years. He's in probably the best shape he's been in a couple years. He just came off a season where he was proving himself to be as durable as he wants to be, playing over 65 games, probably even more than that last year. I think AD is in a great spot. I think AD is in a great space in his career. I don't think Father Time has caught up to him in any way as of yet. And he's probably refined his game in such a way, been in the league now for 12 years, to where he's ready to reach the ceiling. I don't think he's done winning championships so long as he has an opportunity to play on a winning team. And I think he believes in himself, and I think he believes in his team, and I think he believes in the usage versus what it is he can accomplish on the court. And he should have a chip on his shoulder about never winning Defensive Player of the Year when we know damn well he's more talented than any of the people that won it since he's been in the league. I really believe that. Now, that doesn't mean he can guard everybody, because there are certain people that he's not going to be able to guard based on his physical makeup. But from play-to-play standpoint, you're not going to find a better defender in this league. You're not. He is the best defensive player in the league, in my opinion, with limitations just like everybody else who's human. You know what I mean? I don't want him to have to guard Jokic, because Jokic has him by 50 pounds. I don't want him to guard Sabonis, because Sabonis is infinitely better shape than him. These are things I'm never going to ask him to do, but that don't take away from the fact that he's the best defensive player in the world. Because I'm not asking Jrue Holiday to guard those people either. That ain't taking away from the Jrue Holiday defensive greatness, is it? No. Some people just can't do certain things based on their physical makeup. It doesn't mean that they're not the best at whatever it is they do. And I think AD is the best defensive player we got in this league, and I think he could be one of the best rebounders we have in this league as well. So obviously his health is as far as he goes, is as far as we go. So if he's not on the floor, I don't think we can win very much. But as long as he's out there being the same player he was last year and who he was in the Olympics, we got a shot to make the playoffs. That's really what it comes down to. We got a shot to make the playoffs if he's at his best. And if our team was better, we have a shot to win a championship. So that's really what it comes down to. I'm looking forward to the Lakers playing up the value of the people that they have. And as they do that, I expect that they can be a team that's hard to deal with. You know, but if guys stay at the level they're at and don't necessarily improve from here, if the same guys have the same type of bad year they had last year, like Austin, Vandal stays hurt, Gabe goes down, then we're not going to be a very good team. But if we can get these guys to play their levels up and get healthy, I think we're in the mix. I think we're in the mix for a playoff spot, and that's really all you can ask for from this unit, in my opinion. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I'm sure there's more to say, but I'm certain it's time to check in, about 5 minutes from check-in time. So, if anything, the Los Angeles Lakers, my expectations are low, but I think they're higher than most as it pertains to the individual players and what they can ultimately do collectively. We got to find ways of staying healthy. We got to find ways of buying into a rookie coach's plan. As he learns himself, we got to learn ourselves, and hopefully everybody can grow together. We're going to be relying on some young players. One of the pieces that I didn't mention is Max Christie, whom I'm tempering my expectations for Max because I just don't think we've developed him properly. And I've already seen Max look great in the summer league and then come into the regular league and not look that great. So for me, I can't be overly excited about him, knowing that he hasn't had the minutes to develop that otherwise he deserved. But I think he'll get them this year, and with that comes a letdown if he doesn't play great as people would expect him to play with the role he's going to be given. Last year and the year before that, I said that Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves were given roles that were more experienced than they had to provide. They're more bigger roles than what you probably should have been giving those guys at that point. This year, that's Max Christie. His role is going to be bigger than you probably want to give to a player who's had the amount of development that he's had. So if he comes in and he's not his greatest, or if he comes in and he doesn't look like young Kobe Bryant, which a lot of people want to say he is, I don't agree with that at all. But if he don't look his best, it's not because he don't have the upside. It's just because Darvin Ham didn't develop the man. Literally, he just didn't develop him. And so I'm a believer in Max on the defensive side of the ball. I believe Max Christie has proven to be a pretty good shooter as well. His athleticism, his rebounding prowess, he has a lot of good stuff. But y'all know my point on Max Christie, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to say it with a lot of confidence. He is the worst passer in basketball. No one is more inaccurate with passes than him. And I don't know that he's going to get that much better at that. That seems to be a severe weakness for him. So we're going to see that. I think we're going to see a lot of him throwing the ball off the side of the into the stands trying to find somebody. And it's going to be wide left, wide right. He's just not very accurate when it comes to that. Now, if he's worked on that all offseason like I would want him to, then we'll see some improvement. But that time that he didn't get on the court last year did not allow for him to get that type of development on the regular court. So I already know what to expect from Max. Max is going to be good at everything except passing the rock, pretty much. And it's not that he's a selfish player. That's a different type of bad. He's just inaccurate. The passes are wide left, wide right, and the turnovers will ensue because of that. So that's my problem with Max. I've never seen nobody be that inept as passing the rock. I've never seen it. He's the worst. But I still like him a lot. Still happy he's here. Glad we re-signed him. I think he's going to help us on the perimeter defensively, particularly catch and shoot. He's really got good stuff there. And athletically, he's really good. And he's a hell of a rebounder when he's on the court to do so. He's a hell of a rebounder. And I like him next to Austin Reeves a lot. I think they've proven that they could be a hell of a rebounding tandem, believe it or not. I don't know that people realize that, but both of those guys are especially good at finding ways of grabbing boards. So I think if Coach Redick explores that, he's going to find that out rather quickly. So yeah, man, that's really what I want to say, man. Max Christie's going to be a very important piece, but I expect for him to struggle. And I don't think a lot of people are expecting for him to struggle, which is something that I think is going to upset a lot of Laker fans. But yeah, I expect him to struggle, man. And if he doesn't, I'm glad to be wrong. Very glad to be wrong. So very encouraged by the news that I heard about Christian Wood. It seems like he's making a little quicker progression on the surgery than was expected and may be available for the start of the regular season. I don't expect he'll play any preseason, but that's okay. The prognosis on Vanderbilt was not as positive, but Vanderbilt seems to be saying that the progress is going the way he expected to go. So he hasn't had any setbacks as of late, and that's really encouraging as well. I think we got to take our time with Vanderbilt because, like I said, we rushed him back. And I don't think that was for his betterment nor for the team's betterment. So taking our time with Vanderbilt, if he doesn't come back till mid-November, I wouldn't be upset at that if it means he's coming back fully healthy. The last thing we should do is rush him back again. So that's what comes to mind, man. I don't know if there's anything else to add to this particular video. Of course, we're looking forward to Bron, year 22. With his son on board, I just don't think that we have any reason to believe he's about to fall off a cliff with his health. His body seems to be as strong as it needs to be. He looked great in the Olympics about 3 months ago. As somebody his age, I can tell you, I looked great last year. This year I look like trash, and nothing's really changed with my workouts. This is my body went off a cliff, to be completely honest with you. And that's kind of how this goes when you reach our age. So hopefully Bron doesn't experience anything like that, but I did. I went from having a six-pack to having a gut and kept doing the same workouts the whole time. The body just goes off a cliff sometimes. And Father Time is undefeated. So that's something I can tell you guys from personal experience, but I'm also not an athlete, let alone a world-class athlete like LeBron. So hopefully he has a great season and he's rejuvenated by his son being out there, which I think is natural. And that's really what it is, man. Hopefully we can get some good stuff out of our guys. We've yet to hear that Koloko is cleared. I think we're going to take our time with him as well. I do not know what to expect in regards to when he will be ready. I have no clue. No way to gauge that based on what I've been hearing. Just got to wait it out. So that's where we're at with that, man. I'm sure there are other players I can mention. Rui Hachimura, ready to take a big role. Hopefully he's 100% from his injury that he took on in the Olympics. From what I understand, that may not have actually been an injury. He might have just been leaving the team, and that's what they told everybody. But whatever the case may be, hopefully he's 100%. And we're going to need him to play well, and he's going to be fighting for minutes, man. Vanderbilt's going to be pushing him for minutes. Christian Koloko probably, well, maybe not. He's probably playing more center than forward, but God's going to be pushing him for minutes, man. So he's got to play his best and be his efficient self and help us on the defensive end. Hopefully he's gotten a little quicker laterally. That would be something I would have told him to work on. So that he can be more confident at the three spot playing against small forwards on the defensive end. So weak side Rui, that's one of my favorite things to say. He's really good at helping people in weak side situations, blocking shots and stuff like that. I look forward to that aspect of his game. And I have my eyes set on whether or not he's an injury-prone player. Super low-key, I think the jury is out on how durable Rui is. I don't know he's very durable, if I'm being honest with everybody. So keep an eye open for that. Hopefully we have a healthy season overall. And that's pretty much what I got to say, man. My name is BDF44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.